Hi, hey, hi, it's me, your Void. And if you've seen my last video, then you will know that this is 10 seconds after the last clip and has nothing to do with me reading any books. Yeah, so my wrap up got way too long, which fair given that I'm basically reading 31 books in 31 days. So yeah, it's taken me a while to yap about all of them. So this is the unplanned part 2 of all the things I read in October. Enjoy, I guess. I just broke my tripod, so if we go a bit wonky, you know why. So this is week 4 plus a couple of days for my October wrap-up thing, because October is done at this point, and I can already tell you, yes, I did read 31 books in 31 days. I had to scramble a bit at the end there, but I got it done. So now, what did I read? First up, I read an arc of Accidentally Kidnapping the Mafia Boss by Evie Rose, which is a short, spicy, dark romance novella. Got that from NetGalley. I saw it, I applied for it, I got it, I listened to it. It was like a 3-hour thing, and gotta say, pretty midfield. The premise is that, for once, the mafia boss is not kidnapping the damsel in distress. The damsel in distress is kidnapping the mafia boss. On accident, she actually wanted to kidnap her brother who has a gambling problem. Why she didn't just pressure him into going to therapy, I don't know. Her brilliant plan was to kidnap her brother and then pressure him into therapy. It was a whole thing. But again, instead she kidnapped his boss, which happened to be a mafia boss, and that mafia boss was kind of weirdly obsessed with her since he first saw her like a year ago or something. I don't know. He was obsessed with her. It was very weird. And now she kidnapped him. They are outside on the countryside in a cottage, and he is basically reversing the accidental kidnapping in an instant. The second he gets out of the car, he is now her capture, and it's a dark, smutty romance. What do you think happened? It wasn't really that interesting, gotta say. Like, the pacing was too fast. The smut wasn't that great, and I don't know. It was very mid. I gave it 3 stars. Then I finished a personal favorite of mine because I needed something completely different, and remember, I still participated in Scarathon, and Scarathon wanted you to read something that features a war. Prominently so. Usually I'm really good with those books, but all of the books I have that fit that theme are like 700 pages and longer, so I didn't really felt like doing that during a 31 and 31 challenge. So instead, I did a sneaky sneak, and I grabbed one of the short story collections of the Powder Mage universe I read in the Shadow of the Field Marshal. Not just the short story, but like the whole collection. And yes, technically it is a collection of shorter stories of like novellas and stuff, but I did the counting. Technically this collection predominantly features war, because out of the, I think, 12 stories in there, 7 feature a war of some kind, an act of war. Technically. Like, we have some backstory of some characters in the Powder Mage books, but we also have parts of these backstories take place during active wars. Multiple different active wars. So technically it counts for the prompt, and I definitely counted for the prompt, and I reread the personal favorite because we all know that I love the Powder Mage universe. And this specific collection, in the Shadow of the Field Marshal, has one of my favorite short stories ever, because we dive into the backstory of Thomas and how he slowly wormed his way to the inciting incident in book 1 of the Powder Mage trilogy, of the original Powder Mage trilogy. There's one story in there where he gets back at a certain person, and the way he gets back at her, that was so cool. That was so cool. It was so low-key hot. It was so good. When he delivers that final line, so good. Loved it. So I gave that 4 stars, just like the first time I read it. Good shit. Then I briefly returned to the monster smut, and I read Tentacles and Triathlons by Ashley Bennett, which is the second book in the Briar Glen series, I want to say? No, it's Leviathan Fitness. Briar Glen is something else. Anyway, Triathlon and Tentacles. I did not have great hopes for it, because A, I'm not someone who enjoys a little tentacle action. They are there, I guess.
And I did not enjoy necessarily the first Leviathan Fitness, which is Muscles and Monsters. But Triathlons and Tentacles was a lot better than the first book. Like, a lot better. I enjoyed my time so much more with that. There were still some things I was like, okay, but why? The pacing in certain points was and some descriptions in the smut were just incredibly boring because things just happened. Like, we were told this happened, this character does this, but there was like no emotional connection, no reaction, no physical reaction to it, no emotional reaction to it. It just happened, you know? So kind of meh in certain aspects of the smut department, but it was a solid read. And knowing that Ashley Bennett is currently revising and expanding these books, I'm pretty sure Tentacles and Triathlons can get there, because I don't see a lot of things that need to be polished up in that one. Just the ones that need polishing need a lot of polishing. Maybe some sanding before you polish them, but like, that was good shit. That was good shit. I gave that 3.5 stars because it wasn't quite there, you know? It wasn't quite there. And the second monster smut romance I read was actually also on my TBR, like that was in the video, and it was another Cleo Evans. It was Little Risk of Fall, which is the 8th entry in the Creature Cafe series, and in that one we have an orc? Was he an orc? I think he was an orc. And a human falling in love over Orc Highland games. And Orc Highland games are not like your typical Highland games, as I've learned. Little Risk of Fall was a return to form for Cleo Evans after what was Little Taste of Need a couple of weeks ago. I thoroughly enjoyed that one. The transition to the next couple, or in this case throuple, was a bit clunky, but we don't mind that because that was literally just an afterthought to glue another book in there. The actual story was top notch. Gave that 4 stars, as I said before. I think, I don't know, I lost track of my own thoughts. Another arc I received was technically partially a reread, because I applied to get a arc of the first omnibus volume of Something is Killing the Children by James Tynion the Fourth. Now, the omnibus version means it captures the entire first arc of what Erica Slaughter's doing, which is, I believe, the first 4 or 5 issues of the comic. So there was a whole collection thing going on, and I read the first issue already, and I was planning on reading the second issue for this month when I saw that I need to kind of speed things along to hit the 31 and 31, and then I saw on NetGalley, hey bitch, how about you read the first 5 volumes? I didn't count it as that many volumes, I counted it as a single entity, but now I have read the entire arc in Archer's Peak, and I love the Slaughterverse. I love Something is Killing the Children. I love House of Slaughter. But something happened that I wasn't expecting, and I didn't like it. I gave the whole thing 4 stars because it was amazing, but that one thing! Why? 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 No! No! I'm in complete denial and anger at the same time. That's all I'm gonna say because spoilers. Then I read one more monster smut romance with Sweet Vengeance by... I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce this name because I always fuck it up when I try and I get my tongue in a little knot and it's not funny. You see the cover on screen, the author's name is on it. Sweet Vengeance is the story of a lady who wants to get back at the man who ate her, and in order to do so, she summons a demon. And that demon is like, yeah, sure, we can terrorize this guy, no problem whatsoever, let's go. And throughout the story, there is there is a lot of healing going on for her. And this, strangely enough, this demon helps her through it. And then we have like a beautiful love story. It is not that long of a read, but it's so good. And I really like that we get an uncensored version of what exactly happens to the guy who did the thing to her. Top notch. And the smut, chef's kiss. Gave that 4 stars. I lied. I read another monster romance. I lost track of it. I have my list right here. I lied. I read one more monster smut romance, and I'm pretty sure that is the final one. Yes, that is indeed the final monster smut romance I read, and that was Hers to Rule by Carol Alejandra Moore. And I did not like that one. I did not like that one. I never thought I would find a book that is smuttier than Sex Wizards. But I was proven wrong by this book. To be fair, our female main character is a sex witch, But wow, there was like no plot whatsoever. There was a gargoyle, Dom, and his puma, I think it was a puma, shifter, sub. And they were in a relationship. Everyone knew about that. And then the gargoyle kills the dad of the female main character to take over the whole mafia business because the dad was like a fucking monster. And he and the female main character kind of had a thing going on the lower end. Like they were kind of flirting. They knew something was there, but they never acted on it because of the dad. So now the gargoyle kills the dad, and she is immediately in bed with the gargoyle. And like a second later, once the gargoyle is done, he hands her over to the puma shifter so he can take care of her while the gargoyle needs to wrangle all of the mafia monsters. And then he comes back and they just keep on doing it. And that is the whole book. Like, this book is 257 pages long, and I think 3 of them were not them doing the thing. Holy shit! And here's the thing, the smut was actually good in the beginning, but because there was nothing else, it literally got stale at some point. I'm pretty sure the quality in the smut writing didn't change, but oh my god, was it oversaturated with that. Wow. Like, I don't even know how to describe it other than that. The smut wasn't bad, but it was just so much. Non-stop. Like, whoa. That was a lot. Gave that 3 stars because of that. Like, there was potential in the world building and the plot. There was potential to get there. But we focus on one porn video after another. Like, calm down. Speaking of smut, that one was on my TBR, and that one being the next one I'm going to talk about. It was on my TBR, and I did know that there was spice involved. It's just that the timing of when I finished it was on point. Like, the Monster Smash readathon was a thing I did, and I don't think I want to do it anytime soon again. Wow. Anyway, I'm talking about Dawn of Las Vegas. No monsters here, just people being people. And Dawn of Las Vegas follows a guy who desperately wants to work for the FBI for some reason, and then he's like on a security service conference in Las Vegas, and he meets a very hot guy who is working in the security sector, and they hit it up together. This, however, is not a romance, because by the end of the book, yes, they are in a relationship, but they are not in a romantic relationship. These 2 characters are strictly doing business with each other. They work together, I think they're working together by the end of it, but the main relationship they have is the relationship of a dom and a sub, contractually and everything. There is no romance there. One of the main characters actually says, I am not looking for a romantic partner. I'm just looking for a physical outlet of things. And they agree to that. It is not a romance. It is a dom-sub relationship without the romance. And A, the smut was very great. B, the characters actually had depth. And C, I think that is very interesting to see. You don't often see that. Usually when you have your BDSM storyline in a book, it is always ending up in romance or coming from a romance standpoint, and then the characters start experimenting. We never see the part where it is just about the deed and getting the deed done and having certain needs met, without actually being in a committed romantic relationship. And I thought that was fascinating. And again, characters were good. The storyline in the background was actually pretty good for such a short book with a focus on something completely else. And the smut was good. The smut was good. They gave that 4 stars. And now we're entering the territory where I personally started to panic, because I was over 20 books deep at this point, right? I'm this close to getting the 31 and 31 done. But I also know, oh shit, I have to finish like 2 books a day to get it on time, which is a lot to read. So I went scouring after my success with Something is Killing the Children. I went scouring on NetGalley for some comics that I could read to A, get comics done quickly, because you could read comic much faster than a book, but also to pad my stats on NetGalley, because I am lingering around the 50% mark of like writing reviews for things I get, and we all know we want to have that up at 80. So I was like, okay, give me the comic, I'm gonna read it and review it. Give me the comic, I'm gonna read it and review it. And I found a bunch of comics in the Read Now tab, which was very great. And I also requested a couple of comics and I got approved really quickly, and that was really great. And one of those comics was Solo, I think that's how you pronounce it, which is a children's comic by Donna Barbara Higuera, I want to say. And it is about Aztec mythology boiled down for children, and we mostly follow Solo, who is the god of dogs. This is the goodest boy. This god is responsible for humans having dogs. In this comic, it is explained how that came to be, and it is a beautiful little tale about being the outsider, because Solo was a bit of an outsider amongst his siblings, and he was a bit of a coward in certain aspects. When certain things needed to be done, he chickened out, and he was punished for that. Also, his brother bullied him, like the Aztec sun god, the god in Aztec mythology, bullied his own twin brother? What the fuck? But yeah, it's about Solo's story and about how humans got dogs and why dogs are man's best friend. Did you know in Aztec mythology, if you die and you are nice to dogs in your life, the dogs wait in the afterlife to guide you through the underworld? I think that is so cute, and I can't wait to see my dog again. But I gave that 4 stars because it is extremely heartwarming, and it boils down a rather complicated kind of mythology down to very digestible bits and pieces. Also, the art style is just so cute. And if anyone calls Solo ugly, I'm gonna kick you in the shin, because he's not. Another comic from NetGalley I finished was Ghosted in LA, which is another omnibus complete edition in this case. Collects everything that the story is, and Ghosted in LA was kind of a letdown. The basic premise is like the show Ghosts, where a random person starts seeing ghosts in a new building where they live now, and the ghosts get up to all kinds of shenanigans. But Ghosted in LA was so much more boring than the show, because in order to make comedy work, you need over-the-top characters, and this story did not have that. The characters were all kind of stereotypical one-note characters, like we have the shy guy, we have the dumb blonde, we have the rude old white guy, stuff like that. They never grow above these very simple characterizations. And there was also, like, what the ghosts were doing was spliced in with some very boring slice of life of our main character, and the splicing was kind of clunky. The pacing was not good, and the back and forth, the transitions were also very clunky. And it doesn't help that the ghosts are trying to solve the mystery of why they cannot leave the house where they are. That mystery was solved in such a bad way. There was no payoff for it. The whole thing was actually kind of clunky and could have done with a couple of edits in terms of like the story. The art style is great, but we kind of need to deepen the characters, and we need to maybe fix the storytelling. Like, just overall, the whole thing needed to go deeper. And again, it's one of those stories where the potential is there. But this one I gave barely 3 stars. Back to the thing with the books. Kirsty and I buddy read Don't Let the Forest In by C.G. Drews, because Kirsty fell in love with Hazelthorne, and she had Don't Let the Forest In, and I had Don't Let the Forest In, so we just randomly decided to make it a buddy read, which is actually kind of good, because I also needed a buddy read for one of the Scarathon prompts. And Don't Let the Forest In is a YA plant horror novel, and yeah, solid read. The main character was adequately obsessed with the other main character. Some of the characterizations were a bit too flip-floppy for me, like Thomas flip-flopping back and forth. That didn't feel like a 16-year-old. I mean, given his circumstances, it can be excused that he is flip-flopping from the cool comedic relief with some slight anger issues to the whiny little boy who's crying in the corner. Given his circumstances, that makes sense. But some of his reactions were timed very strangely. Like, he reacted to some things in a way where I was like, why are you not reacting in that way that we know you can react to things? Like, the reactions did not match the thing he reacted to in certain moments. So that was a bit weird that I didn't vibe with that. And Andrew was good. Andrew was solid. And but his obsession with Thomas was just The execution of that was very good. The mystery aspect of the whole thing, not the strongest part of the book. Kirsty figured something out very early on and texted me about it, and when I read that, I was like, my thoughts exactly. So we both pretty early on figured out a big mystery of the whole thing, but the whole story was still intriguing enough to pull you through until the end. Gotta say, the setting got a bit stale at some point, because we are in this boarding school, and it's like one of those old boarding schools, everything is cool and stuff, and there's this giant forest out and about. We get a description of parts of the school, and we get a description of the forest, but for me, the description of the place was kind of lacking in a way that, yes, we get descriptions of certain parts where the characters are, but the description is never large enough to help you fill in the blanks of what everything else looks like. So for me, the whole setting was like a couple of corridors, a fence, and then a part of the forest here, and a part of the forest there with a clearing in it, and a tree over there. It never really filled out, and that might just be me, but it was kind of strange and took me a bit out of it. Like, I wasn't as deeply immersed in the story as I wanted to be. But yeah, it was a solid read. I still gave it 4 stars because it was, again, solid read. And I mean, it's a YA book, so I kind of needed to roll it back a bit. Gotta say, the characters did not feel like 16. They did not necessarily feel like 16. I would say they feel like 14, maybe. They felt a bit younger than they were supposed to be, in my opinion. Gave that 4 stars. And the final book I finished for October was Once and Future Witches by Alex E. Harrow. That one was a chonker that is over 500 pages long, and it took me all month to get through, literally. But when I got through it, oh my god, yes! Yes, this is a slow and lingering story. It has this historical setting of, I think, the early 1900s, late 1800s. I'm not quite sure. It was around the time when women started to fight for the right to vote, for example. And we are in New York, and it's the setting, the atmosphere, the characters is just so good. We follow these 3 sisters who want to bring witching back into the world. Like, it's this, not speculative fiction, but like magical realism. Witches were real, and they were burned for having magic. It is basically banned across the country, and now you have these 3 sisters who are like, okay, but we are fighting for women's rights. One of those rights should be us being allowed to use magic again. So they fight the good fight with that, and I can't even really describe it because it is such a slow moving thing, but you cannot let out any single part of the whole thing. You have these 3 sisters and a bunch of side characters. All of them are 3-dimensional and great, and they work together and they clash, and it's so good. And you follow each of these sisters as they have their thing together, but also the way they go about it is very different, and they have their own stories. One of them is falling in love. The other one has to deal with the fact that she is pregnant and doesn't have a partner. And the third one is just going through her trauma and working that shit out. It's so good, and it wanted me to scream, I support women's rights and women's wrongs the whole time. And that last line, that was so good. That book was so good. I gave that one 4 stars as well. And then Halloween came around, the 31st of October, and I was panicking because I was still 2 books behind. Well, technically I started that day 3 books behind. But then I finished Once and Future Witches because I only had like 60 pages or something left, so I finished that over my morning coffee, and then I was like, oh shit, what can I read? Like, I need to read 2 things in a single day. So I, in my infinite wisdom, went back to the Slaughterverse because I knew there were one-shots for the anniversary of the Slaughterverse. There were anniversary one-shots that are basically like short stories within the Slaughterverse universe. Why did I say it like that? Because the word Slaughterverse has the word universe in it. There are one-shots. These are short stories within the greater thingamathing thing, and they are only there to deepen the lore. To deepen it, to expand it, to nail it down in less esoteric ways than the dialogue between characters in the actual comics. So I picked up the Book of Slaughter, which was a 60-page thing where we follow Maxine. She is one of the white mask hunters, and she saw something happen, the thing that upset me so much in Something is Killing the Children. Technically, Something's Killing the Children Volume 2. That is where it happens. I hated that moment, and she was there when it happened, and she reacts to it by questioning everything. And her mentor, pack leader, something like that, realizes she is struggling with a question And she takes Maxine to the side and explains to Maxine, hey, the thoughts you are thinking right now, you do know that you can change mask colors, right? It is hard work and it's going to suck, but you can do it because I did it. Because the mentor of the white masks was a black mask at the beginning, and then she figured out, nah, my talents are more with a pack. So she transitioned, she retrained as a white mask, and now she's telling Maxine, a white mask, hey, you can switch professions, and the way you are reacting to certain things, the way you behave, your character, I think you would be great as a black mask, and we kind of need black masks in the House of Slaughter because there aren't many left. So Maxine then goes on to this soul-searching thing of, okay, what kind of mask do I want to be? And in order to find answers for that question, she refers to the House of Slaughter, which is basically like the manual of how the House of Slaughter operates. Their traditions, history, and stuff like that. So she reads that and she comes to the conclusion, yes, I want to train as a black mask. Problem being, we currently do not have any kind of black mask mentor level at the House of Slaughter. That's why we need more black masks. So she has to go somewhere else to be trained, because you have to be trained by a black mask of a certain rank to be considered retrained. So she is sent to New Orleans to the House of Butcher. That is where the second volume of these one-shots comes in, the Book of Butcher. Because now Maxine is in New Orleans and she's training under the most prolific black mask in all of North America. Like, he has the most kills, he is the most efficient, but he's also very, very weird. His own house kind of parked him in the middle of nowhere because they don't want to deal with him. And that is where we find Maxine and this guy. This guy is now training Maxine by just insulting her. I mean, if you know how the black masks operate, he is insulting her. Like, he has every right to insult her because she just does not get it. She is thinking like a white mask. And that is kind of the reason why she needs to retrain, because the white masks think very different to the black masks. As a white mask, you get told, that is the thing, go kill it. As a black mask, you have to find the thing, identify the thing, and then kill the thing, all on your own. As a white mask, you have someone doing that work for you. You have someone pointing you in a direction and telling you, kill that. And when you get hurt, you have someone to take care of you. Or you get killed and no one cares about you. As a black mask, you have to do all of that yourself. And that is where he is so strict. Like, you are thinking like a pack animal. You are not thinking like a hunter. You are thinking like a pack animal. And that is what he's trying to literally punch out of her. And again, she refers to the Book of Butcher in this in this moment. And the House of Butcher has a very troubled history. So the Book of Butcher is very different to the Book of Slaughter. Because again, these books are only chronicling the history and the traditions of the house the book belongs to. So Maxine is reading the Book of Butcher and we get more intel on the Slaughterverse. In the House of Slaughter, we got a rundown of how the houses work with the mask colors and everything. And in the Book of Butcher, we get a rundown of all the different kinds of monsters. Cool. I gave both of these comics 4 stars and I finished reading both of them, and with that I got to 31 and 31 and I did it. I fucking did it. I read 31 things in 31 days. And oh my god, my brain is melting out of my ears. I'm filming this early in November, and the past couple of days I only read like 1 chapter of something, and it feels so strange to not blast through a whole book, to not spend hours and hours on reading. It feels so weird, but I did it. And not only that, I also blacked out all 4 bingo boards for the Scarathon. I did the easy, the medium, and the hard mini scare, and I did the entire thing. The big scare. I did all of that. I filled all of that. And I read a bunch of Monster Smut books. I did not get a bingo in that one, and I completely abandoned my attempt at trying this, but I read 31 things in 31 days. What the fuck? Like, consider my yearly reading goal is 52, and I read 31 in 31 days. I did it. I did it, and I'm very happy, and I'm probably never going to do it ever again, because wow, holy shit. But yeah, if you made it to the end of this video, let me know in the comments how many books did you read in October. Did you get any bingos for any readathons you participated in, if you participated in any of these readathons? Have you ever read anything concerning the Slaughterverse, because you really should. There's also an animated series and a movie coming out because Blumhouse Entertainment acquired the rights for that. That is pretty cool. I'm so here for it. And yeah, if you don't want to talk to me at all, leave a 100 emoji down in the comments below. You know, the red 100 with that one. Leave that in the comments below if you don't want to talk to me. And yeah, I guess I will see you in the next video. Bye.